So I started writing dramas and directing and acting in the dramas also.
Based on Shastra?
All based on Shastra. That's what Gurudev would want, you know. So sometimes Gaur Leela, sometimes Kṛṣṇa Leela, and I had a very, very good experience with doing dramas for Gurudev. And I could tell you some of those experiences if you want to hear. Okay, so for example, one time I wrote this Ramananda Roy Sambat drama, and it, the conversation that took place between Ramananda Roy and Mahaprabhu in South India near the Godavari. And Mahaprabhu was asking Ramananda Roy, what is the ultimate goal of life? And he would give so many different answers, starting with Varnashram Dham, like that. So then I was playing the role of Ramananda Roy, so I had to, learn a lot of lines and verses and all these things. And so we put this drama on for Gurudev, and maybe, I don't know, it was like halfway through or something, Gurudev walked out. So then I was like, I wasn't very happy that he'd left, because it takes such a lot of effort to write, direct, get all the paraphernalia together, act, practice, but actually perform the drama on the day. So anyway, after the drama, then I was thinking, what happened? Why did Gurudev walk out? And all the devotees liked the drama. It was a good drama. There's lots of different leelas in it as well. When, in Dasi Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Madhurya Ras, like we did perform all the different leelas like that. And then the next morning, Gurudev would always go on a morning walk. And he was coming back from his morning walk, and I thought, I was kind of upset, that he'd walked out, and I was a little bit, in man kind of thing. So the devotees, ladies especially, would be there greeting him, because he would just go out with the men and come back. So when he was coming back, so I was kind of, I just stood at the back, and I wasn't even really looking towards Gurudev. So then, he came through the crowd right directly to me, and he said, "That drama that you performed last night was excellent." And I said, "But Gurudev, you went even there for half the drama. You left." And he said, "No." He said, "I was there, and I heard everything. I saw everything like this, And I thought, here's me with all my doubts. So, that was that drama, and we performed many, many dramas in many, many countries for Gurudev, and there's a lot of experiences, but I won't tell you all. I could tell many different exchanges I had with Gurudev, but I don't know if you want to hear. Yeah. Okay, all right, what to tell? Okay, so there's one where, I would always try to get in the darshans with Gurudev. But in the beginning, actually, it wasn't difficult, because Gurudev's door was open for everyone, to walk in and like this. But then, as the years went on, it became more and more difficult. So then we were in Alachua one year, and Gurudev was staying in his house, so he was staying in an upstairs room. And there was Brajanath Prabhu, who's Gurudev's secretary. He's from Holland. And then Brad Madhav Maharaj, he was Naveen Krishna Brahmachari. He was Gurudev's servant, personal servant. So they were always there with Gurudev and making sure that devotees wouldn't just kind of come and walk into Gurudev's room, any time. So it was one afternoon, and there was Radhakanti Didi and I. She's from Costa Rica, and we wanted to go and see Gurudev. So we were like downstairs, looking upstairs to see if there was an opportunity, you know. And so we were looking like Madhav Maharaj or Brajanapabu was going to Gurudev's room or coming out from Gurudev's room and like this. So we were waiting till the coast was clear, you know. And then we saw them both go out of Gurudev's room into their rooms, and we thought, this is our opportunity, you know. So we kind of sneaked up the stairs, and and then we went right outside Gurudev's room, and we were just kind of listening to see if anything was going on in the room, putting our ears to the door, and we could hear some voices. So then I was saying, no, let's just open the door, and, you know, you do it. You know, you do it like this. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I opened the door, like I just opened a little bit and peeped in to see, you know, Gurudev was there, it was okay. And then Gurudev immediately looked up, and he started smiling, you know, and he was very happy that we'd come. So he, you know, indicated that we can go in, went and sat down. And as soon as we'd sat down, then Gurudev said, oh, you know, you are my darling daughters, and you can come any time you like to my room. My door is always open for you. And he said, there's no obstacle for you coming. For you and my daughters, and you can come any time like this, you know. So then, at that time, Brajanapabu had come back in the room, and I was just looking at Brajanapabu saying, I see. And then, anyway, so it was very, you know, sweet exchange with Gurudev. But then afterwards I was thinking, well, you know, Gurudev said his doors are always open for us and we can come any time, but actually that's not really true, because, you know, sometimes Brajanapabu and Madhav Maharaj are there, like, guarding the door. And then afterwards I thought, well, what Gurudev means is his heart is always, his door of his heart is always open for us, you know, and we can come anytime like that. I felt that was the message, you know. So then I'll tell you just one more exchange I had with Gurudev. So Gurudev, you know, he was very, very sweet, very personal with everyone. So he had so much love and affection. He would never refer to his disciples as my disciples. It would always be my darling daughters and sons, like this. And yeah, you know, I asked Gurudev many, many questions. Like one time, Gurudev was giving class in Baja, California, and he was talking about this verse from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Mahat Sangama Mahatmyam Evatad Paramadbhutam. So in this verse it's describing how Gopa Kumar had come for this Mathura Brahmin, who was very simple, you know, looking after the cows, whatever, in Mathura, not really doing any sadhan bhajan. Then Radharani had sent Gopakumar to save this Mathura Brahmin, you could say, to, you know, bring him back to the spiritual world. So then Gopakumar was giving Harikatha to this Mathura Brahmin, but the Mathura Brahmin wasn't really understanding everything, and then he said to his guru, you know, I'm not really understanding everything, what can I do? Then Gopakumar, he, out of his causeless mercy, bearing in mind that the Mathura Brahmin hadn't done any real sadhan bhajan, he placed his hand on his head and but all of a sudden that Mathura Brahman had realized his Swarup, and he went directly to Kloka Vrindavan, entered the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa welcomed him there and like this. So the point is that after Gurudev's class, then I said to Gurudev, I was kind of like joking, but I said, Gurudev, can you just put your hand on my head, like bless me like that? And Gurudev said, no. And then, and then I said, oh, please, Gurudev, just, you know, that's all it will take, you know, just your blessings. And I kept asking him, and then he kept saying no. And he said, for this, you will have to surrender. Oh. Then I was like, okay. So this links up to when I was in an airport, which airport? San Francisco airport with Gurudev. Then Gurudev was there, just, you know, waiting for to board his flight. And devotees were asking him questions. And then I asked Gurudev a question. I said, what is the symptoms of one who is surrendered to his guru, you know, that disciple who's surrendered? And Gurudev, he said, that disciple will follow his Gurudev's instructions without any hesitation. So, and he said other things, I can't remember exactly, but I remember that. So then Gurudev got up to go on his flight, and he was talking to devotees. Then he said, oh, Charu Chandrika, where are you planning to go now? Because he was going to Houston, I think, to see a doctor and rest. And then he was going on to North Carolina for the next festival. Then I was going to go to Miami in between. So then I told Gurudev, and then he said, no, you should stay here. And then I said, you know, why do you want me to stay here, like in San Francisco? He said, you should stay here and preach. And I was like, really? And then he said, yes, I want you to stay and preach here. And then I said, yeah, but, well, you know, I was thinking, what am I going to do there? I want to go, I said, I want to go and meet you in North Carolina, Gurudev. And then I said, anyway, I already have my ticket. And then he said, okay, well, you can change your ticket, but you could stay here and preach. So then I was like, oh, you know, how am I going to do that? I'm not going to do that, you know. So then he left, and, you know, as planned, I got on my flight to Miami. You know, later I was going to meet him in North Carolina. So then when I was on the flight, I was thinking, well, why was Gurudev saying that I should stay in San Francisco and preach? You know, he'd always told me you should preach, travel and preach, and all this kind of thing. But then I was thinking, I was thinking, well, you know, he's always joking. You know, I was thinking maybe it was a joke. I'm sure it was a joke. And then I was thinking, oh yes. Just before that, I'd asked him this question, what were the symptoms of a disciple who surrendered to his guru? And the answer came that disciple will do without any hesitation what his Gurudev asks him. So he was, you know, letting me know how unsurrendered I was. Anyway, it's like that. Gurudev would sometimes teach through experiences, you know. Yeah, anyway, there's many experiences I had with Gurudev, like in Malaysia. I went to Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, all countries all over the world. With Gurudev, it was on his summer tours to begin with, and then I would start going on the winter tours as well. So the winter tours was usually Australasia, you know. So anyway, I was in Malaysia, and then Gurudev said to me one day, I was planning a drama, but actually there wasn't so many women to be in the drama there, so I was going to write the drama and hand over the script for the men, Ashram Marj and others were there at that time. So then I was asking Gurudev what did he think? I can't remember which drama. Anyway, he said, then he turned to me and he said, "Oh, always drama, drama, drama," like this. And then he said, "Can't you do anything else besides dramas?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, what do you want me to do?" And then he said, "Can't you do something with your hands?" And he said, and I was like, "What?" And then he said, "Well," he said, "Well, do you ever go in the kitchen?" And I never liked to go in. I actually like to cook, but I never like to go chopping veg and whatever in the kitchen. So I said, "Well, not really." And then he said, "Okay, well, today you can go in the kitchen and cook for all the devotees." So like that, I ended up cooking for all the devotees, and it was some good preparations, some not so good. But anyway, the next time I cooked, it was better. But so many experiences, many very loving exchanges I had with Gurudev. But just to finish, Gurudev would always tell me to travel and preach, and to always say okay, but not really do much, because I just want to travel with him on his tours. So then one time, it was I think 2007, it was in Houston with Gurudev, and Gurudev was there just for resting, and he wasn't when I say resting, it would writing. He'd write books, during those periods, sometimes in that time in Houston, sometimes in Hawaii and different places. So he was given darshan, and the devotees were there, I was there, and then Gurudev got up from the darshan and he approached me and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm here to be with you, Gurudev." And then he said, "Why?" He said, I said, "Well, I just like to be with you, hear from you." He said, No. He said, "No, I don't want you here." And I was like, "Oh no," like I was really worried. He said, "I want you to preach." He said, "I want you to travel and preach." And I said, "Where?" And he said, "Everywhere." And then I said, "When?" And he said, "Now." And then I was like, okay, this is like, I couldn't avoid that order then, because before he was saying, but he wasn't saying so emphatically. And then I was like, okay, I'll try. But then I didn't have a clue, like, like where's the money coming from? Nothing, And it's not like Gurudev would say, here's the money, here's tickets, here's, nothing. So then I was just connecting with devotees in Mexico, in Brazil, and like that. And so I think the first time I went to Brazil, possibly, and then I think Mexico as well, I think. And just somehow, like, the devotees, got money together, bought tickets and sent me the tickets. And so I went, and it was really nice experience. And I went, after the tour, I went back to Gurudev and in Mathura at that time, and Gurudev was so pleased, he was so pleased. And then, every year he wanted me to go. So I'd go on his tours, and I would go traveling, preaching to different countries in America, or Europe, and Mexico, Brazil, and then it would, each tour would kind of increase and like that, So, and then I can tell more about after Gurudev physically departed in 2010. I wanted to continue because he gave me that instruction, and then I was continuing every year until 2015, and then I had a big road traffic accident in Vrindavan while I was doing Vrindavan Parikrama during Kartik, the beginning of Kartik. So then I was run over by a truck, and ended up in hospital for 4.5 months